we'll start this session on STAAD again. And I hope that you are very much comfortable with the geometric modeling now. We will extend further. And in today's class, what we will do, we will discuss three problems. And it is about analyzing the beam, truss, and a frame structure. And based on whatever we discussed today, I'll be giving you some activity, and you're supposed to complete that activity by coming week. So the first problem is to analyze a statically determinate beam. So this is the problem. This is a determinate beam, and you can easily do the hand calculation to compute the support reaction. But please remember, whenever you are using any analysis software or analyzing this kind of problem, you'll need these two properties. That is the material property. Material property, I mean to say of what material it is made up of. Of course, if I take concrete or steel, I can differentiate both material by comparing the modulus of elasticity. So you need to know what is the modulus of elasticity for this particular analysis problem if you want to analyze it using any analysis software. Apart from that, you need geometric property. By geometric property, I mean to say the cross-section area. And if you know the cross-section area, or if you know the dimensions of the section, you would be able to know what can be the moment of inertia. So that can be automatically calculated within the software itself. Let us see how you solve this using hand calculation. Since this problem is to compute the reaction, what you can do, you can compute the moment at say point A, which is a pin support. This point A is a pin support, point C is a roller support. If I take the moment at point A, I'll be able to compute the vertical reaction C. And once I compute the vertical reaction C, I can compute the vertical reaction A, because the summation of vertical reaction, that is VA plus VC, will be equal to the sum of the total vertical forces. And here, this calculation which I have shown here, and same thing, if I do, I get the vertical reaction as 36.75 kilonewton. And please observe, this is in the upward direction. And if I see the vertical reaction at A, it is coming minus 0.75 kilonewton. The reaction will be in the downward direction. So let us see how you can solve this problem in STAAD. And I expect STAAD should give me the same reaction as I'm getting with the hand calculation. So let us do that. So you can start geometric modeling of this particular problem. In order to create this model, you need three nodes: node A, node C, and node D. So let us do that. You can also start. You can start with new. As I said, you need three nodes in order to model that beam problem. Node A, it is at 0. This will be the coordinate of this particular point will be 4, and here it will be 6. So let us do it. So there is 0. We have 4. Then we have 6. Next, I can go to add beam. Let me join these points. So this is how I have done it. First, length of the member AC is 4 meter, and the length of member CD is 2 meter. And if I want to confirm, you can go to utilities. Under utilities, go to node tools, and node to node distance. You can measure. This is 4 meter, and this is 2 meter. So this is fine. Next, what I have to do after making the geometry. This is the geometry which I have made. Next is I have to define the properties. As I can see here in the analytical model, I'll be following the procedure from left to right. So I have completed my geometry. The next thing which I need to define is the properties. I'll click properties. As soon as I click property, you can observe this is the dialog box which appears. okay, which is denoting properties whole structure. I'll repeat, like if you are in the geometry tab, if I click property, this is the dialog box which I get. Here I need to define the properties of the material. By properties of the material, I need to say of what cross section it has been made. And of course, what is the material which comprises of that particular section. And if I click here, say for example, I need to define the material. Of course, I need to click define. Here are showing properties. Okay, you have prismatic section property like circle, rectangle, T. These are prismatic section, and the same dialog box you can get from here also. Prismatic beam. Okay, so let me see the problem here. In the problem, as you can see, the section property is given as 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter. That is, the width of the beam is 0.5 meter and depth is 0.5 meter. So I'll go to define. Here you can see a rectangular cross section. All right, and also you see material. Here some standard defined material has been given, but please note one thing. I do not have some kind of standard material. I have the modulus of elasticity given as 3 into 10 to the power 7 kilonewton per meter square. Now, since I do not have the standard material, it is advisable you define the material. Okay, so before defining the property, since if I click define, you can see you have some standard material. You have aluminum, you have concrete, stainless steel, steel, and so on. And if I select any of the material properties, that material properties will be assigned to the cross section which I'm going to define. But since I have the material property which has been given in terms of modulus of elasticity, and it is 3 into 10 to the power 7 kilonewton per meter square, I need to define this modulus of elasticity. So since I need to define the material, I'll suggest you move ahead. You can skip property right now because I need the material definition. I can select this material tab. Okay, so this material option I can click. I need to create the material. As you can see, the earlier material, like this was the list which you had when you were going for the section property. Like I can show you. Here you can see concrete, aluminum, steel 50 KSI. These all can be reflected here. Here you see properties, define. If you select like any circle, rectangle, or anything, you can see aluminum, concrete, steel. Here you see steel 36, steel 50. So those were the properties which were defined under material, as you can see here. I need to create a material, okay, because I have different modulus of elasticity defined. It is not matching any of the standard material which is being defined in the program. So I'll click create. And I'll say this material, so I'll give a specification of this material. I'll write mat1. And please note, when you are writing this, you should not give any space. So there should not be any space when you give the identification title. Okay, so you cannot write mat space 1, because if you do that, and when you are going to do the analysis, you will be getting some error. And you can try this out. You can try this out. Someone just give material type 1 like this. This is actually wrong. Here there should not be any gap. Okay. Whenever you define the material title, make sure you do not leave any gap between the words. So I'm writing material 1. And what was the Young's modulus? The Young's modulus defined as 3 into 10 to the power 7 kilonewton per meter square. Then the unit is already in kilonewton per meter square, so I can write 3E7. So 3E7 is nothing but 3 into 10 to the power 7. Other material properties I am not knowing, so I leave it blank. Okay, so I do not know the Poisson's ratio, I do not know the density, thermal coefficient. So these properties, since this data is not given to me for time being, I'm only entering the Young's modulus of elasticity as my material property, and I'll click OK. And here you can see material 1 property has been defined. Now you can go to properties. You go to properties. I have a rectangular section, so I'll go to define, go to rectangular section, and here you see YD and ZD. how you are going to say YD is the depth of the beam and ZD is the width of the beam. To illustrate this, let me tell you about the local axis. Close this for time being. Here, whatever here, this coordinate you see here, X, Y, Z, this is my global axis. Okay, this is my global axis. And I have created a beam. Now, with reference to this beam, I'll be having the local axis. Now, to activate local axis, you press Shift plus O. Okay, Shift O. If you press Shift O, you'll be able to see the local axis. This blue line indicates local x-axis, red line indicates local y-axis, and this green line indicates local z-axis. If you see the definition, YD means the depth along local y-axis. ZD means the dimension along z-axis. I'll repeat, YD is the dimension along local y-axis. ZD is the dimension along z-axis. If I see this beam, the dimension along y-axis is the depth, which is 0.5 meter, and ZD again dimension along my local z axis, again it is 0.5 meter. Suppose if it was 230 mm, you could have written 0.23 meter along ZD. So I hope this is clear to you, that what do you mean by this YD ZD? These are the dimensions with reference to local y and local z axis. Okay. Now here you check this material. In this material, I know this material is what? Mat1. Click this and click add. So you have defined the properties. Okay, you have defined the properties. Now, in order to hide this local axis, again you can press Shift O. Done. Since I am unable to see the nodes, you can press Shift K. If you press Shift K, you would be able to see the nodes. Okay, and if you don't want to see the nodes, press again Shift K. So you won't be able to see the nodes now. I want to see the nodes, so let me click Shift K. So here I can identify there are two elements. Here is one beam element and here is another beam element. Both beam element is having what? A rectangular section of 0.5 by 0.5. Here I have done a mistake, 0.5 into 0.23. So I can definitely edit it. Okay, so you highlight this, click edit. So you can make these changes. But whenever you are making the change, make sure again it is selected as mat1 and make this change. Highlight this property. You can either click use cursor to assign. You can see the assignment method. Either you can go with use cursor to assign. If you highlight this, use cursor to assign and click assign, the cursor changes and I can choose this beam. So this is the property number 1. As you can see reference number 1. And here also this is the same property, reference number 1. So I have defined the material properties in my this beam. Okay, next again I'll go to materials. As you can see, this 2 is being defined as what? Material 1. So my properties and material definition has been done. Now next is specification. If you click specification, you get this dialog box, and right now I do not have any specific specification. Now basically what is the need of these specification? What we are doing, we are trying to create an analytical model which should represent the physical model which is going to be actually present. So suppose if there is some kind of like I mean to say that if you want to exactly match the physical model, so that can be done using this specification, and I'll be discussing the specification with the mean of one problem. Say if you have a truss structure. By truss structure, I mean to say that the member will carry only axial load. So I can define that kind of specification. Like if I click beam, there you see different kind of specification we have, and we have this truss also. So if you have any member in a structure which you want to make sure that it only takes axial load, I will define that member as what? Truss. Or say if you have a like beam, you have got a beam element with a general element, and if you want to make that behavior of the beam to behave as a cable, you can give that kind of definition to that. So that is the specification. The specification is needed to try. Means you'll try to actually match your analytical model with the physical model. So right now I do not need the specification, so I can skip specification. So the next uh, procedure which I get is support. So I can click support. So here you can see I'm following this flow cycle. From geometry I had started, geometry, properties, material, specification. Now I have come to support. So let us see how you can define the support. So if I see, you have two kind of support. One is pinned, one is roller. And this left hand support is having pin support, and in the intermediate you have the roller support. I need to create the support. Okay, I need to create the support. As you can see, if I click support, you get the dialog box of support. So I'm going to create. What kind of support I have? I have pin support. So click pinned, click add. Okay. Now what about roller support? How you can create a roller support? So let me try to explain how you can actually create a roller support. Suppose if you have a fixed support. Okay.
हेलो
Yes. Yes. Yes.
सर,
Aditya.
पिन क्लिक करने के बाद सर रिस्ट्रेन किस डायरेक्शन में मूवमेंट को करना है, एमएक्स, एमवाई, एमजेड, वो
Okay.
सब नहीं वो
Now here
पता
you
है।
see. Wait. I'll tell you. Let me delete it. If I go to create, you see pinned. Whatever restraint here you see, what exactly you mean? You see it is already been defined here. Here you see it has been checked fx, fy, fz. It means there will not be any movement along global x, global y, and global z axis. That is, that particular node will not be allowed to move about x, y, z. So if there is restraint, of course there will be some reaction which is going to come. And here you see the movements. Movement, it is not being checked. It means you are allowing the rotation. Okay, if you are allowing the rotation, it means movement is going to be zero. You are not restraining it. This is what it means. Is this clear?
ओके सर।
Okay, and this will be helpful for you when I define this roller support. So please understand now. I hope this is clear to you. Let me click add. So I have a pin support,
यस सर।
but I need a roller support. Let me come to here. So this is a fixed support. Fixed support is a general support. Now in fixed support, all the movement is restrained. Okay, so suppose if you have a planar structure, this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. So you'll not be having any movement about x. So you'll get a horizontal reaction about x direction. You do not have any movement along y direction in a fixed support. So you'll be having a reaction in the vertical direction, Vy. Fixed support will not allow to rotate. So since it is not allowing to rotate, you will be having the fixed movement here. And it will be about which axis? It will be about z axis. Is this clear? Now, suppose if I make hx 0, okay, and if I make mz 0, so what kind of support I'll be having? Can you tell me? If I remove hx, that is if I release, by releasing, I mean to say that I'm making hx 0 and I'm releasing mz. I mean that I am making mz 0. So what kind of support you are going to have now?
रोलर रोलर
Roller. So,
रोलर
so this is how you can define our roller. So how you can do it? You can go to create. Here you see one definition, enforced but. Okay, so you click enforced but. What you want to release? I want to release fx, fz, mx, my, and mz for the general case. Now, since I am having a planar structure, I can do this only fx, fz, fx, and mz. But it is advisable since we try to model the space structure in general. So it is advisable you click all these things. So what I want only vertical reaction. That's why I have made it this unchecked. All the other forces, I have made it 0. By 0, I mean it is released. And if I click add, here you see I get the another support, which is a roller support. Support number 2, where support number 2 is located, it is located at this particular node. So highlight this, you can click use cursor to assign, click assign. You can see the cursor has changed, put this on this node. We have given a pin support in the left node point. Come to support 3. Now this support is being located at this particular node. Here you see I have given this support. Is this thing clear to everyone how exactly the support has come? If not, I can repeat this again. It is coming from support tab. Now if you click support, you get this dialog, support whole structure dialog box, and you can create the support. Now I have only pin support and a roller support. Roller support I just said how you can do it. You can click enforced, but from here you just remove the this thing reactions which you do not want. Okay, so that's what released means. You want to make those things 0. So since I want only vertical reactions, so I have unchecked it and I made a roller support. Right. After support, the next step is what? Loading. If you click loading, this is the dialog window which you get. Load and definition. Say this is the problem which I have. I say that this is my load case 1. Now in same beam problem, what someone does, instead of 15 kilonewton load, they apply this load somewhere over here and say that this is 30 kilonewton load at some distance, say 1 meter. And instead of 2 kilonewton per meter load, they say that it is something 3 kilonewton per meter load. So the same beam you can see different load is acting. So I can say that is my load case 2. Okay, so please understand, like generally in our structure, different types of load act. It can be dead load, it can be live load, it can be wind load, it can be earthquake load, or it can be temperature load, or any other kind of load it can act. So you say that you have different load cases. So right now in this problem, since it's analysis problem, I have only one load case. In the entire beam, these loads are acting simultaneously in the structure. So this is my load case number 1. Okay, so when you click this, right now do not worry about definition. You see load case detail. Click load case detail. Okay, when you click load case detail, click add. Okay, click add. Now I'm not generating the load. I'm not defining the combination. I'm not doing any auto load combination. These options will be exploring when we actually design some structure. So my primary load is simply write load case 1. Or you can write anything, load 1. Okay, so I'm writing this as my load case 1 or load 1, click add. Okay, so you can add number of different load cases, but since I have only one load case, I'll not add any more load case. Click close. So you can see you have created one load case 1. Now under this load case 1, I'll be defining all the load. Highlight this, click this load 1. Now after clicking this load, please see what kind of load you have in the structure. You have point load. So this point load is acting in the member AC. Then again you have a point load which is acting at the node. Okay, at node D it is acting. Apart from that, you have a UDL of 2 kilonewton per meter, okay, which is acting in the member CD and partly on the member AC. So let us see how you can do that. Click load 1, click add. Now once you click add, what kind of load you have? You have different types of load, but try to see what type of load you had. You had what? Member load. On member load, concentrated force was acting. And you see member load. You had nodal load also, which is acting at the node. So at node D, this is the node D, where a concentrated load is acting, which is 15 kilonewton. So you see nodal load. Okay, so it is acting at node. Okay, it is acting at node. And what is the magnitude? It is 15 kilonewton. It is 15 kilonewton. Let me do this again. Add nodal load. It is acting in which direction? Global Y direction. So I'll write here Fy minus 15. Okay. It is not inclined, so I'll not be using this option. I'll see if I get one problem in coming days, I'll be using this particular option. And I'll tell you how exactly you can apply inclined load about a node or about a member also. So anyway, so Fy is minus 15, which is acting in the global y direction, and this is the nodal load. Click add. So this load has been added, though you cannot see right now, but if you drag this, you can see this load has been added. Next, you had member load. Now in member load, you had what kind of force? Concentrated force. You had a concentrated force. Now we have to understand how exactly you can apply concentrated force up in a member. So let me give one example here. Say you have a member. Okay, this is my start point of the member. Okay, this is the start point of the member, and this is the end point of the member. And say you have a load of p kilonewton, which is acting at a distance of x from the start point. Okay, it is acting at a distance as x from the start point. So if you see this definition, what is d1? D1 is trying to tell you, it is asking you about the distance from the start point. So please remember D1 is the distance from the start point of the beam. And in one of the class I had uh, talked about how actually you can identify the start point. Either what you can do, you can hover your mouse about this beam for a little bit long. You can see green and blue line. Green line indicates start and blue line indicates end. Or what you do, you press Shift E. If you press Shift E, you'll be able to know the start point and the end point of the beam. All right. So here, as you can see, you have a 15 kilonewton load which is acting at a distance of 2 meter from the start point. But also I can observe this 15 kilonewton load is actually exactly lying at the midspan. Okay, either what you do, you define here under load, click add. Under member load, I have a concentrated force. So please click concentrated force. This is minus 15 kilonewton about global y direction. You can either give d1 equal to 2 meter, click add, click close, and see there is a question mark on these two loads. This question mark indicates this load is not been applied. Say if I want to apply this load, select this. Okay, so and here you see use cursor to assign, click assign. This load is present at this particular node. So you can see here, this load has been applied. This is the question mark here, click this one. Now this load has been applied where? At this particular point. Exactly at center it is applied. And suppose if the member load is applied exactly at the center, and if you leave this D1 and D2, it actually means by default that the load is applied at the center. Okay, so if you do not give this distance D1, D2, it will mean in default that the load is applied at the center of the member. Okay, so this should be understood. And suppose if it is not at the center, then you can specify this D1. D1 is the distance from the start point, and if you see D2, D2 is the application of load, or it is the definition how much deviation this load is from the center line. So whatever modeling we are doing in STAD, it is a center line modeling which we are doing. But it is possible at many times this load is not applied exactly at the center line. There might be some eccentricity. So that eccentricity can be taken care by specifying this distance d2. So since this 15 kilonewton load is exactly lying exactly the center, so I can leave d1 and d2. I can do, and you can see this is how you are getting Shift E. Many of you might be saying that these loads are not in the scale. So you can actually scale these loads, and to do that, what I suggest, make a right click. Okay, make a right click. You see labels. Or what you can do, you can go to view label setting. So either way you can do it. So I'll do this, make a right click, click labels. Okay, here you see these scales. Now I want to change these scale of point force. Click apply immediately. Whatever changes I am going to do over here, that changes will be reflected in this graphical user interface. So you please observe apply immediately, and if I increase the scale and you see the changes. Okay? The force is reducing. If I decrease the scale, you can see the scale of the point forces are increasing. You can just try this out. So this is just for a representation purpose. And say if you want to see the values of these loads, you press Shift V, V for value. You can see the values which has been applied. Next, I have to apply a UDL load also of 2 kilonewton per meter. And I can see this 2 kilonewton per meter load is acting on this member CD and partly on the member AC. Okay, partly on the member AC. So how you are going to do that? I'll go to load 1 because that is the load 1 which is there. Click add. I have a member load, and what is the magnitude of load? It is -2. Please note, if I don't specify D1, D2, D3 value, this load will be applied on the entire member length. Okay, this load will be applied on the entire member length if I don't specify D1, D2, D3. Since it is in the global Y direction, I'll click global Y, click add, and see I had given D1, D2, D3 0. Here's a question mark. It means the load has not been applied yet. I'll click use cursor to assign, click assign, click here. You see, this is the load which has been applied on the entire length of the member. And if I click here, you see it is applying on the entire length of the member, which I do not want. Okay, so I am going to remove this. So let me go to assign edit list. I'm going to remove member number 1, click assign. Okay, so I can make a changes by making a selection on assign to edit list, and I can do the change. Okay. Here you see the scale is not looking very fine to me, and just for my appearance purpose, I'll make a right click, click label, under scale. I need to scale up this UDL, so apply immediately, and you can actually you make a down scale. You see this change. So further, I need to make sure that I am applying a UDL on this part of the member. So from the start point, I can see. So this was my start point, right? In my start model, this is my start point. From my start point, from here to here, what is this distance? It is 2 plus 1, 3 meter. Okay, so D1 definition has to be what? It has to be 3 meters. So let us do that. I'll go to load, click add. Member load, uniform force, it is -2. And what was the definition of D1? It is 3 meter from the start point. It is global Y direction, click add, close. And now I'm going to apply to use cursor to assign. Click assign, see here. Now you have applied all the loads. I hope this is clear to everyone. I have applied my loading. Next, what I have to do, I have to analyze the structure. So click analysis. Okay. After analysis, what I need to do, I need to instruct stat that you have to perform the analysis, and the analysis can be of different types. And for that, if you click analysis, this is the dialog window which you are getting. You click define command. You have different kind of analysis which is there. Right now, since I need to know only the support reactions, I will only perform this particular thing, perform analysis. Okay, I am going to do the perform analysis by clicking print option with no print and click add. Now next, close this. Now we are ready to run the program. Now to run the program under analysis and design, you can see this is the icon which we have, run analysis. Click run analysis. Okay, done. So at present you are having some warnings, but I will suggest you can ignore those warnings as we have just started learning it. But sometimes you should not ignore it. Okay, you should not ignore it. And I'll be discussing about those things later when we solve a number of problems. But right now for this problem, I am ignoring the warning because the reason is I have never defined the material properties completely. Like if you want to see, if you are a little bit curious, you select view output file and click done. Here you get this thing. Here you can see. Remember, I have not defined the Poisson's ratio. That's why it is giving me the warning. Okay, and these are the thing which is actually coming because I have not defined the complete material property. That's why I said you can ignore the warning. So as of now, you can close this window. What I want to see the reaction. Now to see the reaction, you see this option in the left hand side under workflow, see post processing. Click post processing. I need the output result for load 1. Suppose if you had different loads, your selected load would have come for specified load, you could have computed the analysis result. Since I defined only one load, this is the load which is being selected. Click OK. This is the thing which you are getting. Right now, I'm not very much worried about these windows. Select this. Can you see here this option of reactions? Click reactions. Next, I need to a little bit adjust this. Go to select text. So in the select text, let me arrange this. So what you can see at support A, you have minus 0.75 kilonewton. By minus 0.75 kilonewton, you mean to say that the reaction is in the downward direction. And what result we had in our hand calculation, you can see VA is minus 0.75 kilonewton in the downward direction. What about reaction at VC? It is 36.75 kilonewton in the upward direction. Same thing you can see. 36.75 kilonewton in the upward direction, and all the other reactions
ये
are
रिएक्शन
0.
कैसे लाए फिर से बताइएगा.
Okay, I'll repeat this again. So click post processing. Okay, you'll be getting one dialog box, load case one, select that, click OK. Under post processing, here you see this. You please see my cursor. Here they're showing right now displacement, how exactly the structure is displacing. And if you want to see it, actually, this is in a very reduced scale. Make a right click, go to label, go to scale. Here you can see result scale. What I want a displacement scale to change. Click apply immediately, and you just try to play with this. You see, this is how the structure is displacing. This is the displacement diagram of the structure. Under post processing, this is the path I'm following. Now say if you want to know the reaction, click reaction. Here you see, you're getting the reactions. Is this clear how exactly it is coming? Anyway, I'll be solving one more problem, then it is going to become more clear to you. As you keep on practicing, you are going to become more familiar with the tools which STAAD is providing. Thing is, you should do it actually properly. If you're not doing it properly, you might end up with some kind of error. Okay, let us move to the other problem, and this time I'll be taking a trust problem. This is the problem which I'm going to take. So as I said, if you want to do the analysis in any analytical software, any structural analytical software, this material property, that is, you have to define the Young's modulus of plasticity, which is the material properties, not the material property, and the section property has to be defined. In this problem, what has been asked, you need to tell me what is the magnitude of the force in member number FD, which is your member number FD, this member, FE, this member, FG, which one it is? No, you do not have FG member, and let us say FC and EA. This is FC. So basically, I want to know what is the member forces on these four members. And same thing, I can perform my hand calculation. I can compute the support reaction. You can see I'm getting the support reaction of 13 kilonewton over here, and the horizontal reaction at this particular point is minus 6 kilonewton. So here you have 13 kilonewton, and this is your 6 kilonewton. What about at C? So at C also you can compute. Yes, it has been computed. Okay, this is VG. This is VG. So you can see this is 8 kilonewton. So just by this is a determinate structure, you can simply calculate this reactions. Next, by applying method of section, you'll be able to compute what is the member force in FCE or FGE, which is this one. Okay, and you can compute the member force at DF, that is this one. Oh, C is this one. Okay, CE. This member, you can compute the member force here. DF at this particular member. And next, you have to compute for EF and FG. Okay, so this member and this member. So let me write down these forces which I have got. At FCE, I'm having 18 kilonewton, and this is tensile. Okay, DF, this one is minus 8.25 kilonewton. I'm writing it 8.25, and this is compressor. Next, EF is 8.48 tensile. This is my EF. Here I'm getting 8.48. This is tensile. And what about FG? Minus 11.31 kilonewton, which is compressive. This is 11.31 compressive. So when you are applying this kind of load at the top fiber, you can imagine this is a beam. At the top fiber, what will happen? You're going to experience the compressive stress. So this is what is going to happen in member AB, BD, DF, and FC will experience compressive stress, while the bottom member is going to experience tensile stress. Just imagine that this is like a beam. It is going to bend because of this vertical load which is acting. So without analyzing, sometimes you'd be able to tell what can be the possible nature of the force in the members. So anyway, so let us let us solve this problem in STAAD. While let us create the new model. Let us see how you can do it. So this length of the member is how much? It is 12 meter. So I'll create this member first. Let me write down 0, tab, 12. Now go to geometry under add beam, join these two. So this is a 12 meter length beam. If I see this, this is in between this 12 meter, you have two nodes. Okay, and it has been equally spaced. So I have to insert two nodes. So what you can do, you can press escape key, select this, make a right click, insert node. How many nodes you need? 2, n equal to 2. Add endpoint. You can see 4, 8. Done. We have created this. So 4 nodes has been created. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to create 1, 2, 3 nodes. Now to do that, what about the coordinate of this one? I can clearly see the x coordinate. If I take this as the origin, it is at 2 and y coordinate is 2. So let me select this node. To select, click node cursor, select this node, Control C, Control V. I can give x as 2 meter, y as 2 meter and click OK. So this is the node which has been created. What about this one? It is at 6 meter and this dimension is 3 meter. Again, I can do Control V. So at x is 6, y is 3. Click OK. So this has been done. Let us join these nodes. Let me see the front view. Now, what I will do, I'll mirror this. Okay, I'll mirror this. Press escape. I need to mirror this. Select entire thing, go to geometry, and go to this mirror command. Where your plane has to be, has to be in the YZ plane. About which node? It should pass through this node. Click OK. So you have completed the geometry of the truss. Okay, so after geometry, let us see the properties. Modulus of elasticity is 2 into 10 to the power of 8. So before defining property, let me define the material. Go to material, go to create. Let me write down material 1. And what is the modulus of elasticity? It is 2 into 10 power of 8 kilonewton per meter square. So 2E8. Click OK. So I have defined the material. Now I can go to the property. And what is the property which has been given? 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter. I can go to define rectangle section 0.5, 0.5. This is material 1. Click add, close. Now the entire members is defined of this material 1. So rather than going use cursor to assign, you go to assign to view, click assign. Here you see all the members has been assigned this section 0.5 by 0.5, which is comprising of material 1. Okay, now if you click material, you see all the member is being highlighted as that these are made up of material 1. Okay. Next here you see specification. Now this is a truss member. So this is a truss structure. So I will instruct the stat that these members should only carry axial load. Now in order to do that, I need to define that these beam elements are what. I'll specify that these are the truss members. So click specification. Since these members has to be defined as a truss, so I'll click beam. Now under beam, you can see this truss option. Click truss. If you click truss, click add. There you see you have created a specification. Now this specification has to be applied to all these members. So I can go to assign to view, click assign. All these members has been defined as a truss. So basically when I define truss, it simply means that these members are going to carry only axial load. There will not be any shear force, there will not be any bending moment. And some of you please see, you don't apply this member truss and see how the result changes. You can check how the result is going to change if you don't apply this specification. So this is the specification which I have applied for this truss structure. I have defined all the beam elements as what? Truss. Next, I'll go to support. What kind of support we have? As you can see, you have a pin support and roller support. So I can click support. Under support dialog box, create the support, pin support, click add. Okay, and you can select this, use cursor to assign, click assign, select this. We have given a pin support. Next, again, I want to create a roller support, click create. So I will go with enforced but I'll release all forces except the reaction which I want. Okay, so F5 I want, so I'm unchecking it and click add. So this support tree is my roller support. Again, you click use cursor to assign, click over here. So you have completed the geometric modeling with the support. Next, what we have to do, we have to apply the loads. So click load. Under loading, click load case detail, click add. So since I have only one problem, this is the load which has been given, and the one load case itself, you have two loads, 21, which is vertically downward, 6 kilonewton, which is in the horizontal direction. And please observe, these has been applied at the node points. Okay, so you have nodal loads. So I'll go to load case detail, click add. Under primary, say load case 1, click add, close. I'm defining under load case 1 those two loads. Click add, go to nodal load. So you had two loads, if you recall. You have horizontal load of 6 kilonewton, which is moving in the right direction, so it is positive. So 6 kilonewton, click add. Next, you have vertical downward force. So vertical downward force of magnitude 21 kilonewton acting in the downward direction. So minus 21. Click add and then close. So again question mark, just it means that this load has not been applied. Click Fx equal to 6 kilonewton. So with this one, so here you see, and this one. If you want to see the value, press Shift B. You can see these. So what we have done, we have completed the geometry, support, and load. I'm ready with the analysis. We can click analysis. Same. Once you click analysis, this is the window which you get. You click define command. I just want to do the perform analysis. So with no print option highlighted, click add and close. Now you are ready to run your program. Now once you have given perform analysis for the given input, then now run the program, run analysis. See, here you are getting 14 warnings. You should not worry much about those warnings because I have not defined the entire material properties. Okay, so that's why you are getting more warning. Click done. What I want actually, say first, let me see the support reactions first, whether it is right or not. Go to post processing, click OK, and go with the reactions. See, select, go to text. Let me align it properly. You're getting -6 kilonewton, and this is 13 kilonewton, and here you are getting 8 kilonewton. So what was the reaction which we had? See, 13, 6, 8, and this is going in the left direction. It means negative. That's why you can see -6. So the vertical reactions are correct, but what about the nature of the force? As it was asked in the question, I want the magnitude of the force. Okay, I want the magnitude of the force, and want to see what will be whether it is going to be a compression or whether it's going to be tensile. So now to know that, please see what we have to do. Select this result option. Go to the result option. I want axial force. So select Fx. Please select Fx. I hope you all are getting this diagram. Now please understand whatever brown shade you see, okay, that is indicating compression, and whatever blue shade you see, that is actually tension. Now how I'm saying this? So to do that, come to beam cursor, make a right click under labels to see load and result. Can you see beam forces axial? C is compression, it is brown color. P, that is blue, which is indicating tension. I'll repeat this. Whatever brown color which you see, if you want to know whether it is in compression or tension, make a right click, go to label, under loads and result, you see here the definition which has been given. So if you want to change the color for compression, you can do that. If you want green color, you can do. See, it has been changed to green. Like tension, if you want say red color, you see it has changed. So this you can do. Okay, so these green line is indicating what? Compression, and red color is indicating tension. You can change the color if you want. So anyway, what exactly I wanted, I want to know the member force here. I want to know the member force here. Okay, I will select the member force for which I need. So this is what I need: 1, 2, 3, 4 members. I want this one, this one, this one, this one. So view selected objects. Okay, so the result I'm going to annotate it. Click beam result, click ends, annotate. So you can see this is in tension, and it is having -8.485 kilonewton. Red color tension. What was the answer you had? You see 8.48 tension, 8.25 compression. You can see clearly see 8.246. So you are getting the same analysis result as you get by your hand calculation. Any doubt till here? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll continue.
Yes, sir, clear.
So let me move to the other problem now. Let us take this one. Okay, so this is the problem which I have. So what it has been asked? It has been asked to show the bending moment diagram, determine the support reaction, and also to show the deflected shape. Okay, so how we'll do that? Let us model this in STAAD. You can take a screenshot and even you can start modeling. So let me do it. First, let me create this beam, this horizontal beam. You can see 0, 4, and 10. 0, 4, 10. So had been I've created this beam. Let me create this one so I can see from this to this it is 4 meter, and from here to here it is 6 meter. So let me do that. Select -4. -6. Now I'll join this. You'll see from this one. This is how exactly it is looking. I hope you have created this geometry. After geometry, go to properties. Now let me show you how exactly you can solve this problem. In this problem, it has been mentioned that EI property is given, and how it is given: 102.5 into 10 to the power 3 kilonewton per meter square. And the I moment of inertia property is different for different members. I 1.5I and 1.5I. Cross section area of the section has been given as 100 meters square. Nothing has been specified what kind of section you have. Okay, so what I'll suggest, say if Young's modulus of elasticity, if you consider E equal to 102.5 into 10 to the power of 3, then what will be the moment of inertia? I value will be how much? It will be 1 meter to the power of 4. Okay, if I take E value as 102.5 into 10 to the power of 3, I'll get the moment of inertia value as what? 1 meter to the power of 4, because EI will be 102.5 into 10 to the power of 3. So how we'll do, what I'll do, I'll go to, before defining the property, I'll define the material. Now under material, we'll go to create. Let me say MAT material. What is the Young's modulus? As can be seen, I'm saying Young's modulus will be 102.5 into 10 to the power of 3. So I'll do 102.5 E3 and click OK. So the material has been defined, so I can go with the properties, go to define. I don't have circular, rectangular, I have a general type of section. So click general. So whatever cross section area has been given, always remember, since it's a planar structure, AX will be your the cross section area. Okay, the section about which local axis is going to be normal, AX, that is area about which your local axis is normal. Okay, so that is your cross section area. So this is how much, and the question has been given as 100. So I'll write down 100 meters square. Now bending is generally going to take place about IZ. So I'll give this value as 1. One of the property is 1. Let me give this also as 1. If you give 0, 0 also, the value will not change. But I'm giving all these property as 1. And what is the material? I have material as mat. Click add. So this is one of the property. Next, the moment of inertia is changing. It is not 1. It is going to be 1.5. Please note, if you don't give the value of Ix, Iy, nothing is going to change. Since the planar structure, bending is going to take place about Z axis. It's not going to bend about X or Y axis. Click add. So please remember, reference 1 is your having the property of I, reference 2 is 1.5. If I see the model, this is having a property of I, this is having a property of I. So I'll highlight this, reference 1, click assign, and I'll assign these properties. So R1, means that is reference number 1, which is having a property of what? I. What about 2? This is having 1.5i, this is having 1.5i. As can be seen from here, 1.5i, 1.5i. Alright. So I have defined the properties. What about materials? You can see this showing. Next, what about specification? I don't need any kind of specification right now for this problem. Next, I'll move to support. So what kind of support we have? all are pinned support. So let me go to create, pinned, click add, select this, click assign. I have done. Next what? I'll go to loading. Okay, click loading, select load case data. I have only one load case. So click add, click add. So the load case one, what are the different loads which you can see? You have 16 kilonewton load which is acting exactly at the center on member AB. You have 20 kilonewton load which is acting at a distance of 4 meter from point B. So if you have start point as B, you can define D1 as 4 meter. These are member loads, and even you have a UDL, this is also a member load. Apart from these loads, you please see support D settles by 3 mm. Support E settles by 2 mm. So D and E is having some settlement, and you might have seen in your structural analysis. If you do not have any load, if there is settlement, because of settlement, there is going to be forces which will develop in your member. So settlement is also some kind of force, okay, or which is going to induce some kind of forces in your member. So that will also be applied under load case. So let us see how to apply the settlement uh, of support. So to do that, I'll click the load case here, click add. So what is settling? Node. So if you click nodal load, here you see support displacement. Click support displacement. So what is the displacement? So displacement is occurring in the y direction, and that too in the downward. One is 3 mm and another is 2 mm, as can be seen. This support is settling by 3 mm, this support is settling by 2 mm. So let us create that 0.003, and since it's in the downward direction, minus. Click add. Next it is 0.002, click add. Okay. Click close. Let me apply these support displacement. Highlight this. Use cursor to assign. Click assign. This is settling by 0.03. Highlight this. This is settling by 0.02. And you can check. If I select this, you can see this is shown in a blue color. That is, this is settling by 3 mm. If I select this, this is highlighted by blue color. That is, this support is settling by 2 mm. Apart from these, we have point load, as you can see, so of 16 kilonewton and 20 kilonewton. So let me find let me press Shift T. Okay, this is my start point. So from here, at a distance of 4 meter, 20 kilonewton force will act. Again, press Shift T. So let me do that. Definition of 16 kilonewton and 20 kilonewton. So click load case detail under load case 1. Click add. I have member load of concentrated force minus 16 kilonewton. If I don't give any value, it means exactly at the center about global y direction. Click add. Okay. Next, I have minus 20 kilonewton. From start, it is at a distance of 4 meter. Click add. It does apply. 16 kilonewton is acting on this member. 20 kilonewton is acting on this member, as can be seen. There is a UDL of how much? 6 kilonewton per meter. Member load, uniform force, it is minus 6. And in which direction? Global x direction. Right, and click add, press close, apply this load. Done. So what I have done, I have applied all the loads. See, the scale is not very proper, so you can change the scale. Make a right click, select label, scale. You can change the scale of the concentrated force. Okay, and if you want to see the values, just be. So all the loads has been applied, concentrated load, settlement, as well as the UDL. Next what? You are ready to do the analysis. Click analysis, define command, perform analysis. Right. So now run the program, run analysis. Under analysis and design, you have this run analysis command. Click save. So fine, you do not have any errors. So right now, as I said, you do not worry much about the warnings. Click done. What I want to see the support reaction. Go to post processing, click OK. This is the reaction which you are getting. Okay. These are the reaction which you have. And if you want to confirm this problem has been considered from one of the book, let me show you this problem. Okay, you see, this is the problem which we had. 1626 kN per meter. Let me show the support reactions. See the reactions. I'll be focusing on, say, VD. It is minus 4.31 kilonewton. Vertical reaction on D. See, I'm getting minus 4.175 kilonewton, which is almost very close. And there is a difference between these two results slightly, just because of some round off error. Okay, maybe in the manual calculation there might have been some round off error which could have come. And moreover, the properties also a little bit I modulated in order to solve using this program. Okay, so you can see the vertical reaction at D is minus 4.175, which is matching. What about horizontal reaction at A, at point A, as you can see, it is 21.52 kilonewton in the rightward direction. Let us see that. See, 21.401, positive X. So you are getting this answer. What about the vertical reaction? 16.719 kilonewton. 16.719. See, VA, vertical reaction at A, 16.74. I'm getting 16.71, which is almost same. So what we can see, you get the same reaction as you get in the manual calculation. In the problem, it was asked to sketch the bending moment diagram. Before drawing the bending moment diagram, let us see the deflected shape, how exactly the beam is going to deflect under the action of those loads. So you can click displacement. You cannot see displacement because I need to scale it. Make a right click, select label, go to select, click apply immediately, and I will scale it down. So this is how it is deflecting. Now, as it can be seen, as it is evident, this support is moving downward. That's why you can see the support or this member is moving in the downward direction. Here also. Okay. And say if I want to see those results, you can click annotate, and the beam results, you can select maximum resultant in displacement. Click annotate. You'll be able to find these displacements. Okay. Or what you can do, suppose if I want to monitor how the member is displacing, make a double click on this member, go to deflection, and you can see how exactly it is changing. But at any distance, say from the start point at 3 meter, if I want to know the displacement, it is minus 0.006. At 4 meter, if I want to know, it is minus 0.009, and you need to see the y direction displacement. Okay, you can click y direction displacement. So you can specify in this manner in order to compute the displacement also. Same thing here. You can make a double click, you can go for the deflected and observe the y direction displacement, how exactly it is happening. Like at 6 meter, you can see minus 2.014. Same thing you can see here also. So this is what displacement is. What about bending moment diagram? Under result, MZ. As I said, it's a planar diagram. You're going to get the bending about Z. So click MZ. This is the bending moment diagram. And say if you want to see the results, click annotate under beam result bending. What I want, end, maximum, and midpoint for bending moment diagram. Annotate. See, you're getting. If you want to scale up, go to label under scales, You want to change the bending, scaling. You can see this is the bending moment diagram which you have. So let us see the answer of the textbook. This is the bending moment diagram. At point C, it is 37.08 kilonewton meter. What about this result? Almost same. 36.767 minus 36.76, almost 37. Okay. Similarly, if you want to know the bending moment at this particular point, that is also given 10.908. Okay, and you can also try to see over here 10.65. Here, as you can see, it is showing 11.64 kilonewton meter at this particular point, maximum bending moment. At this particular member, if I want to know what is the maximum bending moment, you can make click, go to shear bending. I want bending about Z. So from this diagram itself, you can make it out what can be the possible bending moment value. From here, you can just call it up. See, if you observe between 1.5 and 2 meter, or you can say at 2 meter exactly, you're getting 11.744. And you can check at 2.1 what is happening. The bending moment is reducing. So you can just keep on exploring what result you are having. If you want to know what 1.8 meter, it is 11.6. So exactly at 2 meter, you can say that you are getting maximum bending moment. And corresponding to this maximum bending moment, you can see the shear force. Okay. So at say at distance 0.5 meter, you can see the shear force. Or what you see, you can drag this. To know what is the bending moment and shear force. So this is how you can actually extract the analysis result for the given problem. So this is the bending moment diagram, and we can see that the results are matching very close to the hand calculation. And I'll recommend whatever I discussed today, you please try this. So you please try these problems first on your own, because the solution has already been given to you. Solve this problem and then try to solve some 3 problems which I'll be going to give based on the kind of problems which I discussed. So here are the practice problem.